next speaker is Simone Ferreira, speaker and digital transformation strategist. The presentation tonight focuses on consumer and commercial outreach for VR and AR. Let's give a welcome for Simone.
Hi, good evening everyone. Before I dive in, I do want to just take a moment to thank the Mobile Learning Lab. Aside from inviting me here tonight, they really get it. They understand the power of assembly. By getting us all together, we have an opportunity to learn from each other, see what's happening in the industry, and create some alliances and possibly some business relationships. So this is always a win-win. So, just a moment to give it up to the Mobile Learning Lab for making these efforts to get us together. There we go. That's okay. We can use it with the computer here. So tonight, I'm here to. I would very much like to have an opportunity to speak to everybody after the presentation. But tonight, I'm really here to give more of an overview, to give, to talk about the current outreach for consumerism and in corporate enterprises in the use of VR and AR. I hope to provide some new insights for everyone tonight about how AR and artificial intelligence are being used, and take a look at it from a social and business perspective. From a social perspective, I'm going to look at the possible pearls and potential promise of disruptive technology and what it will look like for the future of our romantic lives. Now, while immersive technologies can certainly bring us closer together with platforms like AltSpace or Facebook Spaces, or we have the Mozilla Hub, these virtual meeting rooms have the power to create virtual friendships out of complete strangers. Now, that being said, with virtual reality, we can also get much closer with our grandparents or stay in touch with our grandparents or our family and friends that are far off. But the reality is that immersive technologies can also disrupt our personal lives and our ability to form lasting relationships. This, in fact, is already a problem in Japan, for example, with a population that's aging and with a younger generation that's turning to virtual mates over real dates. It's creating an even more of a strain on this aging population where, the younger generation is not looking to mate, to add to the populations. So the question, I believe, for future generations is, will they be able to learn without being able to go through or without having the trials and tribulations of a real romance? Will they really learn how to deal in emotional situations, how to handle relationships? In fact, I'm a little bit concerned what's going to happen to our typical family unit, as typical as all in the family could have been. What happens going forward? Can you imagine a future where Susie's mom is a virtual mom? Now, this is not completely unheard of. Imagine a father lost their mother, and, not ready for a new mate, but wants a companion for Susie. Then comes virtual moms. Not too far off. I also want to take a look at augmented reality and artificial intelligence from a business perspective. Augmented marketing powered by artificial intelligence will, in the fourth transformation, when our world becomes full of spatial computing, will definitely transform consumerism. Diving a little bit deeper tonight, I will discuss how augmented reality powered by artificial intelligence in the fourth transformation and what this means to us. Now, that's a lot to talk about in such a short period of time, so I'm going to get started with only minutes to go. If we look at who our future consumers are, digital natives, where they have a device in their hand from cradle to crypt, for them to have a wearable device or to have something either that they're not holding, but they're not carrying, but they're wearing, will feel as normal to us or to them as carrying a phone does to us today. These kids are coding in kindergarten, with programs like Hopscotch or Scratch. So future generations will be born into a world where they will assume and expect virtual and augmented reality experiences. They'll be born into this world, into this fourth transformation. Now, if we look at the stats already, we can see that VR and AR is already disrupting the retail industry. We have 65% of shoppers have an expectation for virtual or augmented reality, and 74% of them say that it would impact their buying decisions. And in fact, if we look to this next slide here, we can see how the outreach or the expectation is there for augmented reality in the retail world. And this is just a snapshot of some of the retail players in the game using virtual and augmented reality to capture their customers. In fact, from Ferraris to fashion, augmented reality in the retail industry or immersive marketing, whether it be virtual or augmented reality marketing, is ubiquitous. In fact, the auto industry is also participating. All of these hotshot auto cars have all deployed some sort of virtual or augmented reality marketing to capture and captivate their customers. This is the new way, keeping up with the Joneses. For marketers, this is what's necessary. So moving out of retail, looking at the entertainment industry, we're seeing the same thing. The future of live entertainment comes with an expectation from us consumers for an immersive experience. In fact, if we look at this chart here, this is just a glance, a highlight of the top North America or worldwide museums, aquariums, and art galleries that have all deployed some sort of VR or AR to hook their audiences. And if we were to stay a little bit closer to home, with AGO, ROM, Cineplex. So right here in our own backyard, the Royal Ontario Museum has been offering augmented reality apps for a few years now to enjoy and explore their exhibitions. And we also have AGO just recently launched Reblink. They still have it there. In fact, they've continued it, which is an application allowing you to look at the artwork, whatever the artwork may be, and it would come to life. In this case, perhaps the robot lady would blow you a kiss, or whatever the artist was thinking when creating that artwork. And we're not alone. We have the Cineplex IMAX Theater, the Rec Room, just to name a few. And this is becoming the new standard that's being sought after by consumers. This is what we're expecting. And not just in retail or in the entertainment industry. We're also seeing this in the media industry. They've invested a lot of money in immersive storytelling. Time, Sports Illustrated, CNN, to name just a few. From retail to roller coasters to rock concerts. This stuff, virtual and immersive technologies are being used in all of these industries. Hip-hop artist Drake once said that going online is not part of his day, but that's not stopping him from using augmented reality to help sell his album, Scorpion. The augmented reality app runs on Snapchat, and of course, gives you the opportunity to enjoy his glasses, his beard, and quickly and easily buy his album. YouTube did the same thing as well. They went and used augmented reality to give their fans an opportunity to see their live performance or get a preview of that live performance at home. And certainly one of my best or favorite scenarios here, let's see if we can play it. This is Eminem. He used augmented reality for his concert at the music festival, the Coachella Music Festival. So they're all turning to this kind of marketing or this kind of entertaining to keep their, to keep their customers engaged, to win over their audiences. Moving on to the world of enterprise, we're seeing all kinds of use cases for virtual and augmented reality to increase efficiency and productivity. To say nothing of what's happening for the use of VR and AR for corporate training. In fact, really celebrate is the revolutionary ways that VR and AR is being used in healthcare and education. We saw some of what 360 is doing, and this stuff is really impactful. In fact, in the education industry, what we can do is we can transport real world, the students into real world or simulated environments. Or we could actually bring world-renowned experts into the classroom. Just like was mentioned earlier, can you imagine the retention that these students would have getting lessons that are actually that immersive? In healthcare, we're also seeing groundbreaking therapies that are bringing mobility to the disabled, or sight to the nearly blind, or hearing for the deaf. There's a lot to be excited about. And we should embrace the fourth transformation, which is what my company, To Market Technologies, helps our clients to do, to understand not just what technologies are possible, but what technologies are optimal. When my clients often ask me, when are we going to get to the fourth transformation? And the answer is very quite simple. We are already here, where digital technologies are mixing in with our real world. So in our physical world, we're able to buy something from IKEA and use our phone to see what it would look like. Or, as we saw earlier, be able to preview a concert of U2 before we perhaps decide to commit to that ticket. And this is what we're seeing. So savvy businesses and marketers, they're anticipating this rise of mixed reality, artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things, and they're preparing for these changes. In the fourth transformation, we're going to see an increased use of the visual web. You can already see it now. Google's allowing you to search things with a picture, not just with text. This step towards the visual web, or communicating with your brands visually, is all part of what we'll see in the fourth transformation. In fact, this GIF here helps to give you an idea of what the retail industry would be like. So here he goes in, whether you've got contact lenses in your eyes, or whether it be glasses on your face, or a device on your wrist. When Tom, ourselves, go into the Gap, they're going to be able to know us, know what we like, direct us to the items that we want. Brands will use augmented reality to collect that much more data on us. Like until now, computers weren't able, when we did a search on our desktop, they're not really able to gather that much information. They know that we searched for shoes or widgets, and the next day we might see some ads along those lines. But once we moved to mobile, brands knew a little bit more about us. Not only did they know what we were searching, but they knew where we were when we were searching for them. But when we move and we evolve to the fourth transformation, where we start to use some sort of smart goggle or some sort of other wearable device, it will come to the point where they'll be able to see or understand what we want or understand what we're thinking. In this fourth transformation, where augmented reality marketing is connected to the Internet of Things and fueled by artificial intelligence, we may expect some disturbing consequences. Specifically, the potential for marketing mayhem, possible government abuses, or corporate privacy concerns. Now, eye tracking has been around since the 1900s, but it has recently undergone some strange change. And thanks to these advances, these eerie evolutions mean that computers can tell not just what we're looking at, but often what we're thinking. Now, clearly, this raises some questions and concerns regarding governments and corporations using disruptive technologies to build even more intimate profiles on us. Following Facebook fiascos and others like it, it's of no surprise that individuals all over the world are calling for increased data protection laws. And we have seen some strides with that, with some European laws that have been passed that do affect essentially businesses worldwide. We're surrounded in our homes and in our cars that collect data that brands and brands and governments would be very interested in. And we will not know the extent of this data collection powered by artificial intelligence and connected to the Internet of Things really until it's much too late. As the last time we were talking about how we have all of this, yeah, I think it goes back to it. So we have all this data collection happening all around us, as I mentioned, with brands and with corporate companies. And we will not know the extent of this data collection until it's really a little bit too late. Great. But what are we going to, what are we going to do? I mean, the reality is, folks, that your footprint already exists. In fact, I'm very certain that governments and brands have known everything that they wanted to know about me since my first Facebook or MySpace page. To be a ghost without a digital footprint is very difficult. But we have a choice. We have a choice whether we invite Alexa into our homes. We have a choice whether we use or participate in augmented reality marketing. The reality is that humanity is not going to stop innovating, and thank goodness. But we need to have faith in our humanity. Sure, AI and artificial intelligence will be ubiquitous. It'll be in every aspect of our lives. Speakers in our homes, our home speakers or our smart speakers will be listening, and augmented reality marketing will be able to read our minds. It's a brave new world. But it's not the first time that technology or machines we were concerned that they would be too pervasive in our lives. Remember the press, the loom, the Industrial Revolution. At all these points, we were concerned that machines would take over our jobs or reduce our privacy. Now, it's true, these advancements have always, with the evolvement of these advancements, we've always had concerns, but we've always been able to innovate and create more jobs. Now, true, robotics will go beyond taking jobs that are dirty, dull, or dangerous. In fact, robotics are coming after our white-collar jobs. But at the same time, disruptive innovation has also always historically created new industries. And admittedly, there are a lot of questions around artificial intelligence and job security that can't be solved with further education or more training. But we've always been able to prevail. Now let me conclude by saying this. Humanity has always prevailed, and disruptive technology challenges have come and gone. And as a tech optimist, who I use my past to guide my future, I am confident that disruptive technologies will once again serve mankind more than harm us. If we approach disruptive technology with integrity and with courage, we should not let fear hold us back from pushing forward. Prioritizing ethical behavior does not mean completely abandoning these technologies. Far from it. Artificial intelligence and immersive technologies can actually empower us to act more ethically and improve and even save lives. So, do I fear that machines will take over? No. As humans, if we tread carefully, if we create regulatory bodies that provide insight and oversight, we'll develop these technologies in a fair and ethical way. Machines won't take over the world. The rise of the robots is nothing more than far-flung fairy tales, fed by fear and fear-mongering and propaganda. So I'll conclude by suggesting that if we use our integrity, if we remain courageous with these kinds of technologies, we'll be able to reap all the benefits that we are seeing with education and healthcare as just two such examples. Again, I thank everyone for your time and attention today. I'm available for any questions that you may have after the presentation, and I think that'll be all. Thank you. Sure, of course.
We've talked a lot about the centralization of power that some of these technologies result in. And certainly, I get that. I mean, I look at blockchain, for example, and it originally presented itself as this decentralized, community-driven application. And today, it is one of the most centralized. It has kind of become the antithesis of decentralization, with Ethereum actually revoking and providing centralized control to reward transactions and things like that in the past. But with that said, do you think that that is a foregone conclusion that we will end up with a centralized system controlled by the few? Or do you think there are still business opportunities and business models that would allow us to create a much more decentralized, distributed business?
Peer-to-peer. I think we're going to see that because I think that's what we want as the masses. I think as we're seeing fiascos like Facebook and other ways that our privacy or our data is being misused, that we are, as a community, as the masses, are going to look for a way to have a Facebook that's peer-to-peer, that's blockchain. And there are some that are up and coming. They're slow to gain that sort of recognition. So in answer to your question, I think that yes, platforms like blockchain that at their core are meant to be a peer-to-peer system are going to be the solution to taking away all this power to the top. And it is my hope that we'll see more and more of that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Awesome. Thanks, folks.